This is the Bullet version 2. They just came out with it recently, I believe in the last couple months. Previous version was $1,000. What I can determine as the difference between the V1 and V2 is it has higher handlebars by almost, it looks like an inch. It has a bigger sprocket. The V1 had a much smaller sprocket. This is a huge sprocket. This one has street tires. The V1 had dirt tires. And this one comes in 4 colors. Those are the big differences I can see. And this one is $14.99. Okay. So it has hydraulic disc brakes in the front and back, which is very nice. Great stopping power. Has 160 millimeter rotors. A little small, but I can tell you it doesn't really affect the stopping power at all. It has tremendous stopping power. It has a 48 volt 13 amp hour battery. I wish that was a little bigger. They say 50 miles. I just rode it. I'm 220 pounds now, and I just rode it 12 miles and I was almost on empty. So I think you could probably go maybe 15 to 18 if you're on the little lighter side. And that was all throttle. Okay, if you're using pedal assist, obviously you can go much farther. It has a 750 watt motor, rear hub motor in the back. 70 newton meters of torque. I think that's accurate. I've ridden so many different e-bikes that I'm pretty familiar with torque, and I think that's about accurate. It has pretty decent torque off the go. You're not going to be popping a wheelie just from riding it, but it definitely gives you a little pull when you take off. And it's a slow acceleration, but then when you get up to about 10 miles an hour, it starts to really kick in. Okay, this is throttle only, by the way. They say it goes 28 miles an hour. I got it up to 28.5, but I rode by 2 of those electric speedometer things on the street that tell you how fast you're going, and they both said 26. So I think this thing might be dialed a little fast. It has suspension forks, pretty nice, pretty robust, pretty rigid. I tried to loosen them and it's a little stiff, which is kind of on the better side. I don't want a loose suspension, so it's nice for going over bumps and stuff. It has 3 pedal assist levels. I'll show you the display in a second. It has 20 by 4 inch street tires and a 48 volt 25 amp controller, which I'm assuming is in here. Looks like it is. And the seat height is 30.7 inches, which is around the same height as like a Super 73, if you will. And it says it's suitable for somebody 5'11", up to 5'11". I'm almost 6 foot, and I didn't have any problem with it. I would argue you could easily go to like 6'2", 6'3". I mean, it's going to be a little bit harder to pedal, but you can still do it. Your knees are not going to be in your chest. So those are the main things. It does have, hopefully you can see this, it has a monochrome display. You push this button and the light comes on the front. I'll show you that in a second. It has speed, it has pedal assist level, it has battery, it has total miles, it has trip odometer, etc., time, etc. It has, like I said, the light, which is pretty decent, and it's pretty cool looking. I like the cage. Okay, and it's got a tail light. So all in all, it's got a nice look to it. Definitely a nice like motorbike style. I really like the seat. It's nice and comfortable. It's a very robust bike. I've ridden a bunch of bikes that are similar. You could go on my channel and look. This one kind of stands out for being very cool looking and very robust. It just has like that, I don't know how to call it. I've always called it just like the it factor, where you ride it down curbs, you ride it over bumps, and it's just solid. You know what I mean? It's not gonna freaking fall apart. You can tell this is a very robust frame. Look at this, huge frame, very robust, great welds. Can't even see the welds. And the suspension forks, I like how it's dialed in with the cord wraps. It's a twist throttle right here, and it has a pretty cool horn, which is kind of weird sounding. It's better than those stupid little ding, so it's nice. So all in all, really solid bike. I wish it was a little faster on the top end, teeny bit more torque, although it's pretty average for these bikes. Could you put, it has a 25 amp controller, could you put a 40 amp or 50 amp? Probably. You might blow the battery, but it's possible. So that's something to kind of consider. I know most of these motors can go a little bit faster, but they try to be cautious so they don't blow out the motor or the battery. And yeah, the battery, I mean, you're not going to get tremendous range. If you have a quick commute, no problem. If you're looking to just zip around town, no problem. We're going to go for a ride and see what it's all about, okay? Dead stop, street tires, and it pulls me through no problem, you know? So this thing definitely has, it says 70 newton meters of torque. I think that's pretty accurate, you know? I might even argue that it has like 80. It's not very good. It's not very fast off the go, but it gets going. It's got a nice acceleration. It feels like it almost has like a sine wave controller where it kind of has, you know, gradual acceleration. But yeah, so we're gonna go in the grass a little bit more and just show you that even though it's got the street tires, you can easily go in the grass, you know? They can pull you through like no problem. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm going 18 miles an hour, which I guess is 19 miles an hour, which again, if you remember, is like, it's a couple miles fast, so that was like 16, 17, okay? Front suspension forks are pretty nice. Like I said, I have them loosened as much as they can go, I believe. And you know, they're nice. They're a little bit rigid, so, which I actually is how I like them. I don't like them real soft, and you can make them more rigid, and it's got lockout, which is pretty cool. Okay, yeah, it's got some nice power, like, to get you going, but it takes a little second. It takes a second or two to get you moving, you know. Okay, we're gonna check out a hill here in a second. See what that's all about. Okay. A little bit of hard packed sand with a little bit of dirt and pebbles on top. You're not gonna have tremendous traction going around turns and stuff, but if you go slow and you put down your leg, you're gonna be all right. Yeah, I didn't slide, see? So, I mean, they're not slicks. They do have like a little bit of tread, so you're not going off-road majorly on this thing. Plus, it doesn't have rear suspension, but you can clearly go in the grass. You can clearly go on some light dirt, probably even a fire road, you know. Just got a big old waterfall down there. Big old waterfall. This is like riding on the side of a cliff at Whistler. You know what I mean? And handles really well. It's tight, you know. And what's interesting is the seat. The seat is so cushiony that it almost feels like hydraulics when you sit on it, because it goes, you know, you kind of fall into it and it kind of depresses, which is nice. Definitely a street machine though, you know. I mean, don't get this if you're looking to go off-road. I wouldn't even get this if you're looking to go like on the dirt, because you want to have, you know, you want to have the knobbies. You know, you could get knobbies for it, but with the street tires, you're gonna have a teeny bit of slippage, you know. Now we're getting ready to go up a it's like a 6% grade. Feel a little bit of tug when you gun it, but not much. Okay. All right. So I just rode it for about 45 minutes earlier, and got it pretty close to low on the battery, and I charged it up a little bit, so it's actually okay. It's at like a third, but I can tell you I got it lower than a third, and there's no power degradation. Okay, so we're gonna start from a dead stop and see what we can do. Okay, I'm gonna put in pedal assist 3, and I'm gonna pedal a little bit. Okay, we're at a dead stop. And this hill, I take all my bikes up. This hill starts out at about 6.8, and it probably goes to like 10% grade. It's pretty steep. It's hard to tell, but with the GoPro YouTube factor, but it really is pretty steep. Okay, I'm pedaling just enough. I'm not giving it a lot. I'm pedaling though. I think the bigger sprocket just gave this more range, you know. It was a smaller sprocket, didn't have a lot of you know, high end. I think this gives it a little bit more high end. Well, actually, just a wider range overall, low end and high end. So I'm going up this, I can tell you that a Super 73 would have really struggled. Okay, so this definitely has more torque than the Super 73. It's interesting, those RRX, they claim to have 1200 watts. It's really a 750 watt motor with, guess what, 750 watts peak. I'm telling you, there's no 1200 watts on that thing. This thing has a 750 watt motor, and compared to others, I'd say it probably has maybe 800, 850 peak, not much more. So we got up that hill, which is actually pretty impressive, you know. One thing you do have to consider when I'm comparing it to, say, a Super 73, is that this is only $1,500. Super 73s are like $3,000, you know. So it's like, man, you're getting a pretty damn good price, and you're getting a lot for your money. Hydraulic disc brakes at this price point, 750 watt at this price point, really robust frame at this price point, a light. I mean, come on, for 1,500 bucks, like, you're not going to go wrong. The only thing I would argue is, if you're going to try to take it on a commute or try to go past 15 miles, pedal. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. Throttle only, you're going to really struggle to go much farther than that, you know. It's got some nice power, you know, especially on the top end. Like I said, it doesn't have tremendous torque off the line, more than a Super 73, but it you know, you have to wait about up until about 10 miles an hour, and then it starts to kind of really take off on you. So let's try something. This is really freaking steep right here. We're halfway up a hill. This is probably an 8% grade, and I want to just see if I can go throttle only up this, because again, it starts out real slow. Wow, look at this, people. That's crazy, and it's getting faster. Wow. Okay, so not bad. I'm impressed, you know, for what you're getting for $1,500. Again, look at the very similar bikes on my channel that I've reviewed in the last year, and this one has more torque, and it's more solid than those, and it's cheap, people. $1,500, really? That's a really good price point. If this thing had a 20 amp controller like the Super 73, they could easily charge $2 grand. I think the reason that they're falling short and charging less is the big thing is the battery. All right, the difference between pedal assist 1, 2, and 3 is pretty significant. So 1, this is a pretty flat road. 1, you know, you just barely feel it and you barely hear it. Pedal assist 2, it gives you a little bit of a lurch forward and you can start to hear it. But now to listen to the difference between that and pedal assist 3, ready? Like, it's huge difference. So 1 to 2 is significant, but 2 to 3 is massive. Obviously you're using a lot more of the battery, but it's just, you're not using pedal assist 1 for much. Pedal assist 1 is if you want to get exercise and you want to mitigate the wind factor, maybe, or that weight of the bike. Pedal assist 2, you're getting some nice help up hills and whatnot. Pedal assist 3, you can go anywhere, and it's like basically like glorified air pedaling, you know. So yeah, pedal assist 3, you unleash the full force of the battery and the motor. So we've seen the dirt a little bit, we've seen the grass, we've seen hills, and let's look at stopping power. I mean, it's got really nice stopping power, especially for 160 millimeter rotors. Yeah, these hydraulic disc brakes are really nice. I'm a very big fan of these. And you know, it's just, I don't know how to explain that it factor. It's just solid, you know what I mean? I always grip my teeth when I say it. It's just solid. It's not like a piece of crap. You know what I mean? Like, watch this. Watch this. Not a huge guy going down curbs, but just watch. It's just solid, you know what I mean? Some of these bikes, you go down a curb, I'm not going to mention brands, but you know, everything rattles and it clangs, and it's not just the derailleur, it's everything. You know, this thing, you know, it's pretty solid, you know? So you're getting a pretty good bike. The light's pretty cool, you know, and the horn, really? It's actually a pretty freaking loud horn. Way louder than most horns. And the bell, you know, those bells don't do shit. This thing's pretty loud, you know. I like it. I will say, for whatever reason, I don't know why, you can go up to, I'm going to speak in terms of real speed for me, not what it says on the speedometer. You can go up to like 25, 26 miles an hour, but it's weird when once it gets up to about 18 or 19, it starts to like, the speedometer will say 20, but really 18 or 19, it starts to like hesitate, then it goes. You know what I mean? It's just not a smooth acceleration all the way up to 26. So I don't know if it's trying to keep itself in, you know, class 2 mode or what, but, and that's really if you're using throttle and you're in pedal assist 3. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're at 19, which is really 17, but see, it just stopped there a second. Now it's going forward again. So it like hesitated for a minute. It hesitated for like a second or two, and then it took off again, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if it's this particular model or it's this particular bike. Not a big deal. Not a deal breaker by any means. It's just interesting that it's got a little bit of a hesitation around the 18, 19, 20 mark. I don't know. So you can very easily ride this without pedal assist. And you're gonna go pretty fast. You're gonna have a lot of fun. It's got that motorcycle feel, you know, that zip around feel. But you are gonna burn the battery down pretty quick.